Hello, hello, hello. Let me know if you can hear me coming through this microphone and into your eardrums. Got about 100 people. Beautiful. I'm just going to let some people come in, and we'll take it from there. Enjoy the visuals in the meantime. And just say hi to a couple people. Got Amoris, much love. Jay, Brooke, E4, Amad, appreciate you. Jeanette, appreciate you. Shout out to D-Vortex. Thank you for showing up. Hope you're doing incredible. Great to have you with us. Maria Di Carlucci, appreciate you. Hope you're doing very well. Peanut Butter Jesus in the house. We're going to need a jelly Jesus very soon. We already have a peanut butter Jesus. We need a jelly Jesus to complete. All right, vibing with Vice. Crypto Wolf. Everything is incredible. Shout out to Bella. Oh, snap. Thoth's child. John says nothing of significance on the 777. Were you breathing yesterday? Did you get to eat some food? Was there anything affecting your life negatively? I think it was pretty significant that you got another day here. Should be pretty grateful for that. Okay, everyone's saying loud and clear. Go ahead, give this video a thumbs up. Suki, appreciate you. Man Alive, appreciate you. Carmen, sending love over to Melbourne, Australia. The Harmonic Hexagon, appreciate you. All right, we're just letting some people join in, and then we'll see what happens. We'll see where this goes. Somebody said XLM is financial freedom. Actually, we could make this much easier and more simple. Your thoughts are financial freedom. Money is just thoughts. And the thoughts that have the most abundance is the one that has the most belief. And it's all about balance in that process, because usually belief consumes us. And we've watched time and time again how money doesn't really solve much besides money problems. So even with this so-called concept of financial freedom, you could still be incredibly depressed or anxious or just have no gratitude for life. It's not going to go the way that a lot of people want it to go. When you come to these live streams, it's going to be a sweaty sauna. Financial freedom is mindset. It has nothing to do with an investment. There's many people out there that have millions of dollars and they hate being alive. We're trying to talk about how to be alive. It's funny to think about this concept of being in love with life or loving life. It almost doesn't kind of make any sense. Why should you love life? They're kind of two in the same, aren't they? Just be alive. Isn't that enough? See, if you love life, then when that love starts to fizzle away, then you'll start to hate it. It's that issue, that duality issue, right? Dustin, I appreciate you said Gematria Whisperer. That's funny, man. Got 200 people hanging out with us. Shout out to Dot Tester over in Yorkshire. Much love to Scotland. Crypto Wolf said, still need to catch up on your video with Bearable Bull. Yeah, it was really dope. Shout out to Bearable Bull. It's great to connect with him. We had about a 3-hour long podcast. And yeah, it was just great to be able to reconnect with him. Round 3. We already did 2. Cleared up a lot of confusion. We touched on a lot of important things, and it was great to reconnect with him just as a friend. You know, I've gotten to know him a little better, and I think we work really well. You know, regardless of where I am with my research versus where he is, I think that he is extremely open-minded to some of the wizardry that we have going on over here. And to me, that's really all that matters. It's the open-mindedness. So, and of course, I'm very grateful for him allowing me on his platform, because he is touching many ears across this realm, and it's great to have, you know, somebody at his level be willing to share my truth. It means that he sees value in it, and that really means a lot. So if anyone wants to watch that interview that I did with him, just go over to his channel, The Bearable Bull. I'm sure you already know about his channel. You know, he's been doing this for a while now. Shout out to Poland. Bomba Breeze, appreciate you. Said, sending love to my brothers and sisters. Michael, first timer here. All right. South Africa in the house. Welcome. Welcome to the Wolf Pack. It's great to have you with us. Welcome to the Saturn Day sauna stream. Appreciate you showing up. Brandy, much love. Sea Lion, much love from Ireland. Shout out to Ireland. You said you started my expansion mastermind course. You said, oh, that means a lot to me. You're a true gem to this realm. Thank you for the reminder of what was once forgotten. I love that. You know, we try to use this phrase as much as we can here. Nobody's helping anyone. Nobody's teaching anyone. I'm not teaching you. I'm not helping you. You're not teaching me. You're not helping me. That's not what this is about. This is about a process of remembering. We're all here to provide a landscape of true essence that allows us to wipe away some of this cosmic amnesia that we're dealing with. It's a process of remembering. It brings us to this shared energy rather than there being this student-teacher relationship. So I love the way you put that. That's really the concept behind the Expansion Mastermind, is to bring us to this place where we start to remember. There's nothing new under the sun. You've heard this many times. That's a truth. I'm just me, you just boo. Welcome. Welcome to your first live stream hanging out with us. LMS says, been feeling depressed these days, still struggling with the loss of my dad, finding it so hard to find peace and happiness in this crazy world. I get it. I know this is going through loss is always the biggest teacher, because any pain or any suffering leaves when it's done teaching you. So all of these moments are opportunities for you to mine consciousness from your own feelings. And I urge you to no longer utilize this term depressed. Even though you're feeling what you're feeling, I want you to feel what you're feeling. I want you to really seat yourself in this feeling state. Do not numb it ever. Be aware of it. Be conscious of it. Seat yourself into that feeling that you have. But also remind yourself that any pain is a teacher. So how about this, LMS? Instead of trying to find peace and happiness, become peace. There's nothing to find. There's no search needed here. It will never show up from the outside, ever. It always comes from within. So this idea of finding it hard to find peace and happiness in this crazy world, as you stated, that's the culprit of the problem. We once thought that something external brought us happiness, and we also once thought that this world brought us happiness, and you forget that you actually are the entire world. Your mind, whatever that thing is to you and however you associate with it, your mind is the universe. It is all. It is everything. And that mind is the only impure part of us. You have a mind, but you're not a mind. You have one, kind of like you have a t-shirt or pants or a glass of water, but you're not the glass of water. So learn to leverage on the mind. Use it so it doesn't use you. But there's no seeking here of the concept of finding peace. The peace comes from you realizing these little nuances. But when you say that you're feeling depressed, then you're already spellcasting yourself into that position, and you will stay there until you're ready to not feel depressed. It's your choice. And if something in the outside world caused that, then that's the relationship you have with that thing. So if there's any solution here, it's to realize that what's causing this so-called pain or suffering or depression is literally your greatest teacher. Leal says, just wondering if you have any stuff with May 2040. Not particularly, but I have talked about the year of the monkey, which is in the next Shemitah cycle, which will be 7 years from 2021, putting us into the year of 2028 through Rosh Hashanah of 2029. And then in that transition, entering a time frame that I think will bring massive change for what we realize now to be the first world. And I think between that 2030 into 2040 timeline, we will see an immense amount of change. But to go fast forward all the way to 2040, I could understand where this kind of stuff comes from, some of these other theories about this particular timeline. The reason I don't entertain any of this stuff is because, again, it's so far out, and it could induce an immense amount of fear for people, and it could put people in a position where they start to prepare for the day that never comes, as me and Logan, Decode Your Reality, like to call it. It's the day that never comes. We're here in 2023, family. Like, we spend, and by the way, I'm not trying to disregard that there is a decoding essence to all of this, where we could prepare ourselves based on the skill of decoding and knowing, what's likely to happen based on past events. Not disregarding that. But then to shift it to the more, what I would call it, the more, let's just cut the shit. With something that has actual utility. 10 years from now does not serve me, and it doesn't really serve you. And I think we spend so much energy, we pour so much prana into a date that is so far away that it starts to control the now. It starts to control the way we operate presently, and it will change the way we treat ourselves, the way we treat our loved ones, and the way we treat our communities based on that concept of what's to come. And I'm in the hot seat because I have quite a large, audience. And even though I do predict, in a sense, I don't like using that word, but that's the word people are going to, label on my work. I can't control the way people label what I do, of course. But with what I like to consider is that I remove the emotion completely from all of what's to come tomorrow. So even if I do feel a little doom and gloom about what might happen in, let's just say, September or October of this year, or what I might feel for the United States in 2029 into 2030, it doesn't really change the way that I operate presently. I still serve my purpose. And when you start to be emotionally controlled by something that has nothing to do with now, you're no longer serving purpose. You're being used as an instrument to serve another entity's purpose, which is exactly the process of why fear is the number one shaker and mover of the way humans decide to live their life. And reminder that life or living only happens now. It has nothing to do with yesterday, and it has nothing to do with tomorrow. So the number one way that you could control a human being is through fear. Fear isn't technology in and of itself. I like to look at fear almost like the attempt at erasing the vibrational frequency. Everything moves. Even the table that you're sitting at right now, the phone in your hand, it is the physical pieces of it are vibrating. They're just moving slow. If it's tangible, if it's physical, it's just slow moving light. Fear is the attempt at reducing or completely removing the inevitable of the vibration. And this is why it's so easy to manipulate the masses, the 99.99%, and the people who can get away with this are the smallest group of people, the so-called elite. You got to remember, they planted this concept of Agenda 30 on purpose because they wanted to give you time to find out about it. It's exoteric. There's nothing hidden about Agenda 2030. There's nothing hidden about what the World Economic Forum has in store for us. There's nothing hidden about any of this stuff, actually. What they want is for you to learn about it, and then they are simply just looking at you like an experiment of how you will respond to this knowledge. And if you're somebody who accepts this new knowledge and then utilizes it to become more in servitude to your purpose, then you're passing this test. But the masses aren't even... They're so far removed from this. They're literally just going along. But now for the conscious beings that find out about these truths, like Agenda 2030 or chemtrails or whatever happened with C-19 or vaccines or whatever you learned about, and then you start to become a bitter person and you start to label the world as sheep, and you're the chosen one now because you learned about germ theory. You see like how well that strokes the ego? And we end up with no progress in either direction because most people feel more comfortable when they're feeding ego. And the most uncomfortable thing is to actually slow yourself down and say, where do I fit in this? Where does my path fit in all of this? And that could be difficult sometimes because we've been essentially indoctrinated with a path laid out in front of us. They say go to school, then you go to upper education, then you get the job with your degree, then you get the wife and the dog and the house with the picket fence, and you mow your lawn on Sundays and get grocery on Saturdays, and then you fucking die. That's basically it, right? Now, what the conscious being who lives in fear does is they wake up in the morning and they find something to be angry about. It just happens to be something that's a little bit more, not so mainstream. I think what we're trying to do here is we're trying to realize whenever we acted like that, because none of us are perfect and we've all been through it, including myself. And then we're trying to feel out how much we were being controlled by that own fear, that self-induced fear. Playing the victim within a victim within a victim, like a big Russian doll, blaming every step of the way. But I get asked so often on my thoughts of like some year, like, what do you feel would happen by 2030? Or what do you feel would happen by 2040? And you know what I urge people to consider if you have questions like this? Is think about what you will do. What will you do by 2030? And better yet, what will you do by the end of this year? Or what will you do by the end of this week? Like, where are you at in all of this? Because I see us decoders across the board getting like, given this microphone of what will come next. And I don't want to be that. I really don't. I want to give the microphone back to you and be like, what are you going to do? What will you do? That's really where the utility is. I'm just reading through some questions right now. We got about 345 people. Clementine, sending you lots of love. I got a lot of people from the UK hanging out with us. That's great. Bama Breeze, appreciate your kind words. Tigre, appreciate you. Just in case, greetings over to you in Thailand. Toothless Fairy said, I'm still laughing at last week's kiss on the forehead. That's good. That shows me that my comedy podcast that I'm working on is going to have some fans. That means a lot. If you're still laughing at the same joke a week later, then wow, it's beautiful. Oh, great question. All right, family. First of all, I'm going to make sure that I did not miss any super chats. And then I'm going to get around to something that I really wanted to touch on. All right. All right. Got a question about, let me try to find it. Black Mirrors TV sending you lots of love, and it was great to connect with Kinfolk when I did. It'd be great to reconnect with him. I would love to chat some more about what he's been up to, what he's been researching. Okay, what we're going to touch on right now, we got about 343 people. 343 is 7 times 7 times 7. So what better time to get into that than now? But Giancarlo said, Waters, have you seen that clip with the lady on the plane claiming she saw someone that isn't real? If so, what are your thoughts on it? Yeah, so that video has been making some rounds. I did see it. It's kind of been clipped out, and TikTok videos have been made in response to it. And I think the most popular TikTok video was the one where the guy that was allegedly on the same plane. And he was like a few rows back from this lady. Apparently, she was talking to some guy that was wearing like a hoodie and whatever. Now, the guy making the video was talking about the lady verbally speaking, actually speaking words, and she was keeping up the conversation, but the other guy she was next to was not. Like, he was not actually speaking, or at least not audibly. The guy couldn't hear the other guy talking back to her. So anyways, then the lady like runs out of her chair into the middle of the aisle and says, this guy over here like is not real. And I thought it was really funny because like she was holding a Goyard bag, and like it's just like, who is this lady? You know what I'm saying? And the one thing that I noticed was she totally threw up like the as above so below hand sign. So how do I feel about this? All right. It's an idea that I wanted to touch on a little bit in a podcast with Logan over at Decoded Reality. So again, another shout out to him. Go check out his channel if you haven't already. And it was my thoughts on what's to come with what I believe will be a slow rollout of transhumanist kind of cyborg beings. Like, we're talking high level, what would seem almost like a real human being, but they're not. And they're programmed, they're utilizing AI technology, you know. What would be wasn't there already a lady like a long time ago, her name was like Eva or something, and she was able to respond, talk, her eyes would blink, head nods, some facial expressions. Now, you guys got to understand that this technology has been around for a super long fucking time. So whatever they show you, just know that the government and intelligence has had it probably 20 years before they even show you. And usually they show you maybe 5 years before they actually give it to you. Now, one of the best or easiest ways of explaining how they like to show us stuff is through Hollywood movies, right? Just we call it predictive programming. But something like that Eva, the first citizen that was a robot to ever get citizenship or whatever. You guys know what I mean. Okay. Now, is the guy in the plane in this viral kind of TikTok thing, is that a robot? I can't confirm that. I'm not here to conspire on that. But what I'll share is that I think that we're very close to the rollout of a one-to-one humanoid-like robot cyborgs, where their skin is made out of a silicone material, that is very lifelike. I don't know if they'll ever be able to perspire. I think that was another theory that I had. Like, the one way you're probably going to be able to tell who's the real and not the real is, do they sweat? Is there any perspiration? Do they produce saliva? You know what I mean? Like, a lot of these politicians and like big level people, they're wearing masks. Like, that's not their real skin. They're wearing face masks that go over some sort of, I don't know what the fuck these people are even made of. It's interesting. I've called them jackals for the longest time because I don't believe in this lizard thing as much as that's been perpetuated throughout the work of David Icke and a lot of other people. My theory around why they're not lizards is because lizards like sun and they like being outside, and a lot of these, Queen of England and Schwab and all these dudes, like, they don't ever go outside. Like, they're indoors. They're probably living underground. Who lives underground? What's living underground? They're like an insectoid species, if anything. I don't look at them like they're lizards. But again, think about everything that we talk about here on these live streams. Whatever's popular is wrong. And when you see people like Jimmy Kimmel and like these top level talk show hosts making jokes about lizards, like, it's clearly become mainstream. I mean, even Family Guy has made like episodes about lizards in the royal family. It's too fucking popular. So for me, I say, okay, it's a psyop, whatever. It's 99 psyops on the wall. Have fun. We all like to have fun here. Some people take it so damn seriously. Some people are open-minded enough to just play. Have playtime with it. I like to play around with it all because at the end of the day, it doesn't affect my life whatsoever. But getting back to this moment, this viral moment of this lady pointing out a alleged fake person. Who knows, right? It could just be a stunt. I have no idea. But what I am pretty certain about is that there's going to be a slow rollout of cyborgs into the world. And they will be so fucking lifelike that it will be scary. And there will be markers to determine if they're real. I shared a couple moments ago. Probably won't be able to sweat. Their hair probably will be pretty noticeable. I don't think they can replicate natural oil, like sebaceous gland oil. I don't think they're going to be able to replicate that. So there's going to be some little tiny trigger points where you're going to go, oh, okay. Humans, we have excessive amounts of mucus, okay? I don't want to get weird here, but we produce mucus. I do not think they're ever going to create robots that could get close to replicating mucus. You know what it's like to be a human. You get boogers, you get eye boogers when you wake up, you get earwax, you get greasy hair if you don't wash it enough, you get dirt under your fingernails. I don't think they're going to be able to recreate fingernails the same way that they do with humans. So you're always going to be able to look at certain things and go, okay, that's fake. There's clear ears are another one that are really hard for them to get right on these high level face masks. We're talking about CIA, KGB, the highest level of intelligence that is so compartmentalized. I'm just using the term CIA to give you guys something like semantics to work with. But you feel me. If you know, you know. So that's my theory in response to that. I do believe that we're going to start seeing them on planes. We're going to start seeing them at the airport lounge. We're going to start seeing them at the bus stop. We're going to start seeing these robot cyborg one-to-one, replica humanoids in public places. You're going to see them all over. And that's how they do what they are going to eventually do. And then what will come is their rights. So they will be granted rights as a human gets granted rights. And this is really a slippery slope, and I don't think we're too close to this, all right? Meaning I don't think we're probably about 10 years out from having like a citizen that is walking and talking and showing up to work and getting on the bus. That's a fucking robot. I think we're probably like at least 10, because I don't know how humans will naturally respond or treat those things. I think they've showed us in enough movies, though. I think they've shown us enough movies to give us an idea. Yeah, so we could have fun with these ideas moving forward now that I've sort of planted it, my theory. You're not just going to wake up one day and there's going to be 1,000 cyborgs running around, holding machine guns. That's not how the New World Order is very, one thing I can say about David Icke, I love this term he used back in the day. He called it the totalitarian tiptoe. I very strongly, resonate with this term because that's really what it is. You slowly sort of include the new way. And people will go, oh, it's not that bad. Remember like 3 years ago, right before C19, okay? Most truthers, and I say this word with air quotes, most truthers were like hella anti-QR codes. Like most truthers were like super, 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 super against QR codes. And then what happened? We had C19, everything is like, different now. And where do you see QR codes the most? You see them at restaurants and bars. So it's the most harmless play on the New World Order's playbook. You need to get fucking food, right? Like you want to go out to eat, you want to get a beer. So they put it in places like that. You see their agenda? Like you see how they get away with this type of stuff? So the QR code launch, it'll be a slow rollout, and then eventually you'll just be so used to it that you'll be like weirded out whenever there isn't a QR code. And that might take about 3 more years of what is called the phase of normalization. We're already past demoralization. We're completely demoralized as a world. Now we're in the process of inclusion and normalization. And when you have a so-called crisis like C19, they never want to waste a crisis, so they use those crises to push their thing. Humans are super interesting. Like, parents take away privileges from their children and then leverage on like Christmas to make kids behave more. Have you guys ever, you've all been through this. The kids, of course, love Christmas. Why? Because you get toys. You get rewards. You get rewarded. And they've tied your behavior to the reward. I'm going to teach, this is important we talk about this. Because people want to think that, no, I'm a good person. I wouldn't do what the New World Order does with the social score system. I would never do that. But meanwhile, you all do it to your kids. You say, oh, you're not acting up. Guess you're not getting Christmas presents this year. They're going to give you coal. I told you it's going to be a sweaty sauna. Don't act like you're better. We've all been through it, and we will all probably end up doing it to our own children. Because it's just the baton of trauma that we hand off from one family, from one generation to the next. We are all guilty of it. So this puts this docile nature into today, where we're decade after decade after decade of dealing with fucking Christmas present trauma. And I've even talked about this with, I know America has the Halloween, right? I know not the whole world. The whole world doesn't practice this, but anyone from America, you know what I'm talking about with Halloween. People do the same shit. They're like, okay, on Halloween, what's your reward? It's the candy. So the kids get candy. But then if leading up to Halloween, if the kid starts to act up, you're like, oh, guess you're not going trick or treating. You're not going to go out and get candy on Halloween because you've been bad. You've been naughty. Bro, that's the social score. You're doing it to your children. And I know people are going to be like, Waters, that's not the same. It's not. It's not. Okay. I know your ego likes to make it separate. Your ego likes to make it not the same. But we have to get uncomfortable together here. Because if we never get uncomfortable and we never talk about these things, we're never going to be better parents. We're never going to break that generational trauma. We're going to continue to do it over and over and over again. And then when the social score becomes some real deal shit, you're going to see a completely different reaction from you and your family if you decided to break that spell. See, like, when you guys think about the changes you want to implement and how you want to do life, you think in increments of maybe 5 years, 4 years, 10 years. When the New World Order thinks about changes and things they're going to implement, they're thinking 400, 500, 600 years. They're thinking like 2 resets ahead. That's why they maintain their power. That's why they maintenance their power in this power hierarchy. So what's the solution? What's the solution to this, to all of this? Is Christmas bad now? Is evil what you are or what you do? Is it the holiday that's the problem? Is it the reward system that we've created the problem? Is it the reprimanding if you don't behave during the process of leading up to the holiday? Like, what is really the core issue here? Or are we just taking this too seriously? I really don't think that this is overthinking. This is just the process of realizing the way we are and the way we've been treated and the way we will treat. So no wonder when we have a crisis like C19, you see how docile and quick to accept the truth from some institution, and we're willing to harm our own communities because we're forfeiting all of our sovereignty and all of our love for each other for the concept of predicted safety. Not actual safety, not confidence of safety, for a prediction model of what could be safe. And we bow our heads to the true gods, which are people who wear lab coats. So this sickness that we're all kind of breaking the spell of perpetually, whilst we're questioning it, whilst we're transitioning through it, and now that we've made it onto this side, you could see how important it is to be grateful, even though some of this sucked. It sucked when your parents told you that they were going to not give you Christmas presents when you were a kid because you wanted to express yourself. It sucks when you're being controlled. It sucks when you want to express and some other power above you wants to control that. I get it. I get it. Fuck, for me, if I ever wanted to act the way I was acting and somebody told me you're not getting presents, I'd be like, fuck Christmas. I don't give a shit about your presents. But not everyone's built like me, and I get that. And I'm also not expecting anyone to be like that either. For me, I very, very quickly realized that if anyone's gonna dangle a fucking carrot over my face, I'm gonna be the guy who goes and learns how to grow carrots. Like, fuck all of y'all. I've been through it. I've been through a world that wants to reward you based on obedience. Fuck that. So if there's anything that could be taken away from today's stream of consciousness, just remind yourself that don't stroke your ego so much to the point where you feel better controlling someone else's expression, because it's never helping them. It's just programming them. And if part of that program is a reward based on their obedience, then you are a psychopath. Like, legitimately, the root of psychopathy is exactly what we're talking about right now. To control and have dominion over something else whilst feeling better about yourself under the rules and regulations of your mind, disregarding something else's perception and experience and desire to express. So no wonder humans are so gullible and so easy to control. As you expand consciously, you start to see that there is no difference between the church and the cult. And there's no difference between the cult and the hospital. And there's no difference between the hospital and the New York Stock Exchange. And there's no difference between the New York Stock Exchange and the household that you grew up in. It all operates under the same mechanisms of being obedient. Happy man, shout out to you over in Brazil. I appreciate you showing up. Much love, brother. Special shout out to Inna. I appreciate you. Been a wolf since the beginning, and I sense such an amazing energy from you, Inna. So I just want you to know that. I'm not sure if you're still with us right now in this live stream, but I see you made a comment a little earlier. You're loved by the community. We're so grateful for you. So, just want you to know. Brandon Bonanza says, fear is the mind killer. Brandon, I'll build on that a little bit. Fear is the heart killer. Fear keeps you only in the mind and completely away from your heart. See, what your heart wants is uncontrollable. What your mind does is controllable. Your heart speaks for itself. Your heart knows what it wants. More than your mind. Your mind will utilize all of the machinations of logic and reason to determine what would be the better choice. Your heart doesn't scale the better choice. It knows. Our mind gets in the way of that. Your heart speaks the most pure and beautiful language. Your mind is like speaking 50 languages in a rapid speed to the point where it sounds like gibberish and you're stuttering and there's drool coming out of your mouth. That is what the mind does. If you had one opportunity to just leave yourself, if your soul could leave body for a moment and analyze purely how your mind works, it would look like madness. The heart is direct. It knows. It knows because it feels. The mind doesn't feel. The mind has no feelings. The mind thinks of what it would feel like if it was to happen. The mind analyzes past experiences and utilizes those past experiences, mixes it up in a pot, and determines what it would be like next. It lives outside of time. Your heart is present. It is now. It is closer to you. Your mind is living outside of you. It is almost the external part of the body. It's an extension of it is the body. It's an extension of that. Essentially, as above, so below. Heart within, mind without. Forked in Fire Iron Kitchen says, I know you aren't big on cooking content, but I want to thank you, Jordan, for helping push me to become a creator. What? When did I ever say that I didn't enjoy cooking content? First of all, much love to you. And second of all, if you're creating cooking content, that's dope. Dope. I grew up watching cooking shows. Like, while most people grew up watching the news, I grew up watching cooking shows. Yeah, my dad was super into that shit. I wish he would have become a chef instead of a fucking drug dealer. But, can't win them all, I guess. But no, shout out to Forked in Fire Iron Kitchen. I think that's real dope. I think more people should embrace content creation around food. Gardening would be dope. More content around that. As I don't even like using content. It's art. So go check out Forked in Fire Iron Kitchen's art. Errant Protocol, shout out. Appreciate you. Phoenix Transcendence, appreciate you. Sean Ferris, yo. Ooh, you just compared my humor to George Carlin, so I immediately have to say bless up. But George Carlin's a legend, dude. George Carlin's a legend. He has made me close to piss my pants a couple times. Shout out to the soul of George Carlin, man. That dude was a real one. Oh, and by the way, I had a bunch of people. Now that I got about 400 people with us, by the way, shout out family. I appreciate y'all for hanging out. We'll be, getting around to some juicy, spicy, sweaty content in a moment. But I had a couple people reach out to me just through email today, and I had maybe 3 or 4 people reach out to me yesterday saying that there were some glitches on my website. I was running a sale at WatersAbove.com, and if you go to this website and you go to the banner at the top and you actually click it, it takes you to WatersAbove.com/July. And I was running a flash sale. I decided to keep this up because I had like at least 7-8 different people on emails and messages say, yo, your website's being weird. And now I went over to another email and I checked out that maybe 10 people reached out to me regarding PayPal. So I'm not sure what the issue is. I went, before I started this live stream, I just quickly checked on my website and I was looking at the checkout and the promo code, and I made sure it was all working. I don't know what the issue was, but if you go over to this website and you use this promo code at checkout, it should work. So I'm just going to leave this up until tomorrow morning. It kind of extends the sale out a little bit. I felt bad just ending it, and then those people, like, you know, they wouldn't be able to take advantage of that sale. But it's 20% off all my courses. For those of you that have been more interested in the live streams, then this is pretty much the course Expansion Mastermind. That's where we talk about a lot of this stuff that we discuss on these live streams. So yeah, apologize if anyone had any issues trying to check out on my website. I wish I knew everyone's experience, because it depends on your browser and it depends if you're using an iPad or an iPhone or an Android. I mean, I double checked, made sure, crossed all my T's, dotted all my I's. I don't know why it wasn't working for some people. I really thought that it was good to go. So anyways, promo code's there. All the information's there. WatersAbove.com/July. If anyone was interested in that sale, that'll be live until the end of tomorrow. And appreciate all the support for everyone that was able to successfully check out. And apologies for anyone that had any issues. Oh, and also tomorrow we'll be doing Red Pill podcast over on my Patreon. So I'll be updating everyone in the market over there as usual. So we don't really use these to talk about crypto. We will talk about money here and finances from more spiritual perspective, but we try to stay away from talking about the markets during these live streams. So that's where I will be updating everyone. Okay, I'm just getting back to this live stream chat. Manil Sitai Amir, I appreciate your super chat. Sending you lots of love. I didn't see any question from you, so I just see a dancing pair holding up a sign that says fist bump. But I appreciate you. Appreciate the support. Awakening Chef, sending you lots of love, brother. Hope you and the family are doing very well. Badhead Badhead 3736 said Patrick Starr staying in touch with current affairs. What a week in the Matrix. So if any of you don't get that inside joke, it's because I'm Patrick Starr. And usually I don't know shit that's going on in the world until people share it with me. So yeah, this TikTok thing of the lady freaking out on the plane saying that being isn't real or whatever, that was sent to me by enough people that I finally clicked on it. And yeah, well, you guys can imagine, like, in my position, I get way too many things sent my way, and I do my best. I really do my best to look at it all, but I'm only one guy, you know, like, and I'm spending so much of my time creating and focusing on all the other moving parts of what's going on in my life that it's hard to read every single thing I mean, some of it is not really it doesn't even make sense why it's sent to me. But again, no judgment. But yeah, when moments like this happen, like this instance, it's not weird for me to get 10, 20 people reaching out almost right away, sharing it with me. So if enough, attention gets to it and I have the moment, I'll look over it. And the stars aligned this week, I guess. Zerp Life said a comment that I think I could answer to and give my own spin. When we were talking earlier about cyborgs and one-to-one human replicas, Zerp Life asks a question: is this why they like social distancing, face masks, so they don't get detected? No. I'll tell you guys the reasoning behind the face mask thing. The real truth behind it. It was to further dial in the accuracy of iris recognition technology, which is actually what the future will utilize. It's already working. It works really well. You could test it on your iPhone. So, okay, I'm not going to jump too far down too many different lanes here, but the whole concept of the face masks was to get much more dialed in on iris recognition technology. Facial recognition is one thing, but if they can determine who you are based solely off of just your eye, then fuck did they nail that technology. And they've done it. It's done now. It's really high level, and they used our phones to really get this tech dialed in. And they already had, during C19 event, the ability to adjust your front-facing camera that unlocks based off of looking at your face, the facial recognition technology. And if you wore a mask, it would still be able to determine that it's you. And that was just a software update. That had no hardware changes whatsoever. So this has already been going for a long time. But you can test this yourself if you try unlocking your phone while looking away but keeping it faced at your face. Yeah, you'd be able to see that it doesn't unlock until your eyes actually make eye contact with the camera. So, yeah, that's the real purpose behind all of that. And now it's incredible technology, and I'm sure from very far distances, it could still determine who you are based on solely your eyes. But no, it's not to like hide the robots or cyborgs or these one-to-one replicas. Bella Love says, I'm grateful for you and this family. We are grateful for you. Somebody said, I argue that we're already seeing clones all around us. Yeah, How's Quest? I mean, we could call them clones if you want. Sure. Like, I'm not against using that word either. Yes. But when we think of the clone, are we talking something that actually has like a nervous system and bleeds and has like creates its own mucus and saliva and everything? Like, or are we talking about something that has a look of being organic, but internally it's a robot? You know what I'm saying? So that's obviously not a clone. I guess we could differentiate for the two for whatever reason. But yeah, I don't doubt that there's already many clones. I think a lot of the celebrities are a great example of this. Shout out to Ian. Hope you're doing well, homie. Crypto Clay, much love. Oh, Carlos Nunez says hi from Spain. Hola. You said need tech help. I purchased Crypto Mastermind on Thursday but can't get access. Written to support but no replies. Tried several browsers. Watch tutorial. Any tips? Yes, Carlos. Go ahead and forward the email again to me from another email, because what might have happened is it went into my spam. Because over the past couple days since doing this sale, I've gotten many people emailing me, and not everything makes it all the way through to the inbox. I'm really sorry that happened. But if you go over to my website, now that you're here, and you go to WatersAbove.com and you click on this tab right here called Frequently Asked Questions, this is going to take you to a video which should give you all of the important information to regain access to your course. If not, read everything down here, because every one of these tips might work. Something as simple as just turning off the VPN has helped some people. So I recommend using Safari browser on a laptop or desktop, no phone. I do prefer Safari for using my course. It tends to just be a little smoother and it doesn't log you out automatically. Brave browser, on the other hand, is great for particular reasons, but for utilizing on my course, I don't know why it tends to log people out. There tends to be issues with the cache clearing. So like, yeah, anyways, it's a headache. And my website's 100% secure. There's no advertising. I don't take any money from anyone. You could look at my website up and down and you could see that there's nothing going on third party. It's 100% me. All the content on it is me. Everything. It's me. So you never need to worry about any of that shit to the point where you need to use Brave browser. And as for anyone who signs up to my website, all that's required is an email. So you don't even need to use any personal information. You don't need to use your name if you don't want. You don't need to use any of that stuff. So the long and short to this is I recommend using Safari. Turn off the VPN because that creates some issues when logging in and out. And that should help along with this video. Yeah. Boop, boop. All right, my family, I'm going to be wrapping up this live stream. Got some things that I need to take care of. It was so great to hang out with you. Samantha Leonard, sending you lots of love. Mary brought up, okay, yeah, I'm looking at some of the replies to what we were discussing earlier about this reinforcement stuff and how our parents tend to leverage on this reward system of gifts on Christmas or on your birthday or perhaps on holidays, and take away the reward based on your behavior. If you acted up or acted bad or didn't obey them or whatever, you know. I could see some of your comments replying to that now. Justin Coelho, you said I invested in myself and got the expansion mastermind course and it's pretty powerful. Thank you. Thank you. That's dope. I appreciate you. Sending you lots of love. Lou Banga, appreciate you. Got a last minute super chat from Crypto Wolf. You said, always appreciate your live streams. Much love. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. Bama Breeze said, thoughts on suicide. In what way? Like, how do I feel about it personally, or how do I feel about it happening to somebody? Like, hey man, like, this life is tough if you can't find solutions. Most people are walking, talking, sweaty problems. Most people are basking in their problems. And it's because we've created creatures and indoctrinated them into acting that way. And we've given people false concepts of solutions, like doing good in school and getting a better grade, or having a higher GPA, or getting a degree, a piece of paper that says you graduated a school. That's how we've, made people feel that's where your self-worth should come from. What a fucking charade is that? So do I blame people for not enjoying this realm? No. It's tough. Not everyone's built for solutions. Most people love being the victim because it's a comfortable, easy role to portray. And a lot of people put themselves into the hero role, and it's all egoic, and it's usually in sacrifice to self. This is the story we see in every single Hollywood movie. It's the Jesus story. It's the story of the Savior. Men get swept up in this often, and that's a huge program to break through. So I tell people, don't be the fucking hero. Stop it. When you wake up in the morning, the first thing I want you to think of is, how can I make my day? Instead of before, you probably thought about, how can I make someone's day? We think that being selfless is good, and I'm telling you that it's the opposite. You never want to be less of self, because this is how you dig yourself into a deeper and deeper, deeper grave, where questioning your self-worth is predicated upon how other people value you instead of how you value you. So it's easy to get depressed when that's your core programming. It's easy to get depressed when that's your foundation. That's the foundation that is taught from parents, school, and society. Fuck, we've all felt, moments of deprivation of self-worth. And it's because we've allowed the world to do the judging for us. We're allowing the world to validate us. We love it when someone likes us. We love it when somebody thinks that what we're doing is good or helpful. I've had to work so much on this. That's why earlier in this live stream, when somebody said they were in the process of remembering, and that's what that course that I created was doing for them, I loved hearing that. I loved hearing that. I think it was Sean. I forgot who said it. But we're all here remembering. We're not helping. There's no help. Stop asking for help. Because then when it doesn't show up, what are you going to do? People got to just take action. People have to take action. Find purpose in self. Stop attaching purpose onto tasks you do for other people. If you're a mom, your child isn't really your purpose. It isn't. I know you'd like to think that it is, because that makes you feel like you have something to live for. But again, let's talk about what we talked about earlier, when you probably saw your kid misbehaving, and then when they were misbehaving, you started to take away rewards from them. Okay, so you clearly love them conditionally. Your purpose is tied to conditional love. It's, I love you a lot as long as you behave. And again, it's tough. It's fucking tough to talk like this because so many people are going to be like really offended. But who else is going to do it? Who else is going to offend you if you're not ready to do it, the hard work yourself? See, the person that has a thirst and lust for life is the person that never gets offended. You're okay. You're okay with everything that's going on. You allow it now. That's why we say love is allowing. Love isn't holding someone's hand or kissing somebody. Love is allowing. So, thoughts on suicide. There's so much to say. I do have to go. It was great to share some of the quick thoughts on it. Perhaps we could talk about it more in another live stream, but it's all coming back to self-worth. And we live in a world where men lack purpose and where women receive infinite amounts of artificial prana just because they're a female. And they have to put in little caloric burn to receive lots of praise. And that's just what we're dealing with right now at this time. That's not the way it's always been. But that's what we're dealing with now. And since the C19 event, it's exacerbated tremendously because people don't want to go out as much. And the people that do want to go out are already going out with pre-selected people. It's not as much of a culture of having the randomness of meeting new people as it used to be. Now it's very methodical. Anywho, we could talk about these ideas a lot in the next live stream. I appreciate every single one of you for coming and hanging out with us. Wishing you all a beautiful rest of your weekend. Much love.